a guest experience platform for hospitality industry. We came up with Quality is that can we create something through which a hotelier can know how my experience is going while I'm still in the property. It's a relatively new concept. In this digital era, we just don't like to talk to people. We've started talking lesser and lesser. Our first mode of communication is texting or WhatsApp. We like Uber versus going to a taxi stand or calling a taxi guy. If the experience was suboptimal or bad, it's already done. I think price still continues to be the most important things for Indians, but I think what they also look for is value for money.
As a consumer, I may write reviews when I'm unhappy, right? Or whenever I'm happy, probably I'm just going to click like 3-star, 4-star my experience, and I'm lazy to write the review.
It takes a lot of hard work and under the root work before the tree starts showing the fruit. And so is your work family. And I'm pretty sure every female founder and entrepreneur takes care of her work family just like she does of her own family.
Hi Tejaswi, welcome to the Journey Canvas podcast channel. So let's begin a little bit by introducing yourself. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Thank you for having me here, Vinay. I'm Tejaswi Chawla. I've been working in technology for close to 23 years. My passion is, and all throughout the experience has been in sales. And well, I'm glad to be a part of this podcast.
Yeah, so wonderful to have you here. So I know your passion is quality, and that's your new venture. You've been venturing a lot these days, and I've been reading a lot about it as well. But for our viewers, our guests, can you talk a little bit about what quality is and what's the purpose of quality?
Sure. Quality is a guest experience platform for hospitality industry with guest in center. So it is very similar to customer experience in technology, just like we have customer experience for different tools. We have created quality for guests experience. So what we realized, and I think all of this realization also came with a lot of my own traveling. As a senior vice president of sales in the various companies that I worked for, I've traveled very extensively. In fact, on an average, I'll stay 300 nights out. And what we realized that the lot of tools that the hospitality has are all for either for the commerce. So you'll get a mail right in the beginning saying, hi, your booking is confirmed. And then right in the end, asking you, how was your stay? Please give us a review. There was nothing for the guest in center or how was my experience when I was staying with them. Everything is still very, very reactive. I have to call up and complain. If something is really big enough, I might. So that is why we came up with Quality is that can we create something through which a hotelier can know how my experience is going while I'm still in the property so that they can help me and course correct it versus making it like a postmortem, post my review or post my complaints.
But how does it compare to other platforms today? Like, are there any equivalent platforms, or is this like kind of a brand new concept which people are consuming this?
It's a relatively new concept because a lot of innovation in hospitality in the last 10 years has gone for building the top stack of the commerce. So in the last 10-15 years, all the innovation has gone into, hey, how do we sell online? They were OTAs, so how do we sell online? How do we get the right pitches? Then how do we get the right pricing for different cities and different kind of rooms? So that is where channel managers came in. And then because we were selling on OTA, right, the reviews mattered. So a lot of tools cropped up right in the tail end asking for the review, and so that the reviews could be posted and can further fill in, can feed into the top of the commerce. But there's nothing in between. There are tools in bits and pieces which help in upselling. But there is nothing which does end-to-end journey. Right. So quality also helps a hotelier to understand a consumer persona and upsell, but it also cares about how your experience went. So can we understand the unique persona of each customer, try to upsell to them, as well as know how their journey is going so that we can course correct if it's suboptimal or try to delight them.
Okay. So let's say I'm the customer and I log in on my desktop or my phone. I start searching for the nearest hotels. Let's say I want to go visit the Taj Mahal, right? So where does my journey begin with quality?
So your journey begins as soon as you make the booking. Whether you make the booking through an OTA or whether you make the booking by calling a hotel, your journey begins as soon as that booking goes into the core system of every hotel is called PMS, Property Management System. So as soon as your booking goes into there, your journey begins. So it can begin the moment you make your booking. It can begin with something as simple as, hi Vinay, looking to welcome you into our property. By the way, here is our Google pin to help you locate us better. And we do this all proactively through WhatsApp engagement. So
Okay.
WhatsApp message would pop up, and then it's all click, click, click.
Right.
And and on a pre-arrival, would you like to know a little more about it?
Yep. Of course. Yeah. I want to learn a
Well,
little bit
closer
more.
to
Yeah.
your date. So the closer to your date, before the closer to your date, it can ask you to web check-in, similar to the way you do web check-in for an airline, so that you don't end up standing in the queues at the hotel and then give your passport or give your identification for them to check you in. It can ask you to do web check-in. It can ask if you wanted an airport pickup. It can also offer you closer to the date, like 24 hours before, that, hey, would you like a sea-facing view or a sea-facing room, for example, right? And upgrade to our sea-facing room for just 1,000 or just $20, right? Along with $10 of food credit. So once you're closer
Wonderful.
to your journey date, you're more susceptible to buy things because you suddenly realize you can't do everything that you planned for your journey, and you might have to eat one meal at the hotel. Or you're tired, you would like to get a spa at the hotel, and then you could use the credit for the spa. So it's about understanding. It could ask you things like, hey, you book a booking for 3 people. Are you traveling with kids or senior citizen? What's the kid's age? And then it does it all through mini chiclets where you just get 0 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 to 12, and you click one, and then it'll ask you, would you like a room away from the elevator? So for example, if you put 0 to 5, it'll say, would you like a room away from the elevator so the kid's sleep is not disturbed?
That's an interesting way of booking. Like it's I'm not making my selection, but you're having a conversation with me and then helping me make selection. That's a really
Oh,
innovative way of
absolutely.
doing it. So
So
does
imagine
all
this
this
is
happen through WhatsApp?
absolutely. So we are WhatsApp first. So it all happens through WhatsApp, and then we do it through iMessage or text or email if WhatsApp is not available or activated for the consumer. Then we do it through alternate channels. But we are a WhatsApp first company, and we do it at all the stages of your stay. So this is pretty similar. So imagine if the most intelligent people or the GM was to greet every guest. Or in the olden era, the butler used to do it. Like you would get a call
Right.
from a Taj and they'll say, hey, I'm the butler. Before your arrival, I would like to prepare what kind of pillows would you like? What kind of mattress do you like? What kind of view would you like? You have
Right.
any special requirements? So it's pretty much similar to that, but we've tried to automate it because as human beings, I think in this digital era, we just don't like to talk to people. We've started talking lesser and lesser. Our first mode of communication is texting or WhatsApp and messaging people because it's non-intrusive. The other person can respond when they have time. I don't have to take out time for it right away. And calls have become very, very disruptive because most of the time our phones, we are in business meetings, our phones are on D&D. And even if somebody was calling me from a hotel, we would end up missing those calls. So that's why we've tried to
Right.
create it in line with the way I think we humans have evolved. We like to order food on, DoorDash and Zomato of the world. We like Uber versus going to a taxi stand or calling a taxi guy to our house. We like to shop through Amazon. So as I think as a race, we're becoming less and lesser interactive through voice and more interactive through things that we can see, feel. Before you buy a hotel or even something that costs you $5, right? You literally like to go look up the pictures, read the reviews. How does it in look and feel? Versus calling up and somebody and saying, for example, I need a textbook. What are the pages? I want to see that. I want to see what people are feeling about it. What are their reviews? So I think we've
Right.
tried to create a similar experience through an automation for hospitality industry.
So is that what you're trying to disrupt in the market? The way people interact? Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
More than the way people interact, I think what we're trying to disrupt in the market is care about a guest journey and control the guest journey, drive positive reviews versus doing postmortems later. Because the thing with the trip or when you go to a hotel is if you've gone for your family or you've gone for business, if the experience was suboptimal or bad, it's already done. No matter how many times a hotel apologizes for it later, it doesn't matter to me. I went with my family, I was there for a vacation, and for whatever reason, they weren't able to serve me well, and my experience was ruined. Or I was there for a business meeting, and you couldn't give me, I don't know, my iron was not functioning, or my toothbrush fell to the floor. You couldn't give me a toothbrush kit for 40 minutes, right? And I ended up either missed my meeting or ended up going to the meeting without brushing my teeth. Because when I
Right.
called up the front desk, either somebody did not pick up the phone or did not understand, or simply human error, forgot. Because another guest came in between or another call came in between. So what we're
Right.
trying to solve for is more that, hey, give each guest a premium elevated experience, and know how their journey is going while they're still in your property versus post facto analysis or postmortems.
So, as I know, India is a very price conscious society. So, what do the consumers in India look for? Is it the price the most important thing? Are there other factors?
I think price still continues to be the most important things for Indians, but I think what they also look for is value for money and convenience. I think India as an economy has evolved in the last 5-7 years to be very, very digitally savvy. Everybody makes payments through Paytm or UPI. So even a person who's not super educated but is even or a daily wagerer also makes his payment through a Paytm. Even a guy who sells tea for less than 20 cents accepts Paytm payments and understands that as a banking modem. So I think Indians have definitely become far more tech savvy. So they look for convenience and they look for value for money. So money does continue to be important for us, I think, and price conscious, but it has to something that they buy. There has to be price value for money, and that is why I think a tool like ours becomes even more important, because it could demonstrate that I care about you as your journey, and what I'm offering to you is valuable to you, and not just something generic or a generic template that I send to everyone.
Right. So, in short, like people are ready to pay the premium if there is a value, right? And not
Absolutely.
just got it. That's wonderful. So, in this whole journey, right? Like, what were your struggles, your success, learnings, etc. Like, and what got you here?
I think in this journey, just like everybody, like every tech founder or every founder, your product is your baby, and you perceive it in a certain way, and it seems most valuable to you, right? For me, one of the learnings over a period of time, that what we are offering is great, is amazing, but it's like a vitamin pill for hotels. It's not a must have thing, but it's a good to have. It's a vitamin pill versus a life saving drug. But for hotels who care about experience, somebody wants to give great experience to their customer, or who do not have great, for example, not have great reviews. For them, it becomes a life saving drug, because they need those good reviews to come in. So that was one of the
Got it.
learnings. Second is the way you perceive your product to be. You might think your child is going to become a doctor, just not necessarily become a doctor. Might just become an aesthetician, or might just become, I don't know, an engineer, aeronautical engineer. So when we begin the product, right, we kind of also began with the thought process that, do we kind of make it a life-saving drug? Do we also put in like the PMS component? And we realized very soon that PMS is a very fragmented market, and we did not want to get it in. We wanted to work in conjunction with it and just focus on the guest versus focusing on the property. Because there are a lot of tools in this industry which just focus on the property, which is the PMS, which is the core and the bread and butter of hospitality. Then we have tools which focus on the pricing component, or how to drive price, which are called channel managers like Star and SiteMinder. Then there are tools on the reviews, and all of them actually feed back into the commerce of the hotel. But what we wanted to focus on, how do I understand each guest experience and serve them and drive value out of them and value for them, both of these things.
So when you say reviews, and today also artificial intelligence is the big thing, like generative AI, right? Lot of buzz around it. Are you using AI in some capacity to drive the customer experience?
Oh, absolutely. So we are using AI all one to understand a consumer persona, also to upsell, what to upsell to a consumer, and what is the specific offering that I can give to a consumer. So even when you go and purchase, or a consumer purchases something from our ancillary web app, right? For example, if he's ordering grilled fish, so it will give him options of things that are usually sold with grilled fish. And then we can also segment customers based on the room type that they're staying in. Is it single occupancy, double occupancy? Is it short stay, long stay? And then kickstart a journey in accordance with that, and kind of suggest to them what they should be doing.
Got it.
Do they need a trip? Do they need a cab? Do they need a cab for a whole day if they're here for business meetings? So there is a very
Got it.
strong AI component, I think. But the most interesting thing that I think we're doing, it's still not done as a startup, but I think that we're doing for this is how to have reviews automated. And what I mean by that, we're using Chat GPT to drive more reviews and more qualitative reviews. So for example, imagine how powerful it becomes that as a consumer, when you exit a hotel, right? versus asking you for a review, right? If you were a green customer, it just says, "Hey Vinay, great having you. Hope to see you again. Hope you liked staying here. By the way, kindly help us by writing by reviewing us on the platform you came from. Write your own or pick a draft, right? And if you click on pick a draft, it'll actually show you 2 or 3 review samples through Chat GPT based on your experience and the service levels that you had, which you can just pick or edit and just post. I think one of the reasons a lot of people do not review is because it's one extra thing for them to do. So we're definitely using AI and then the Chat GPT component to drive more qualitative reviews. And those reviews will be a lot more robust like the way you see automobile reviews, which will kind of, give it on a lot of dimensions and a lot of parameters. So,
Right.
yeah.
It is indeed. And the biggest, like as a consumer, why you know, I may write reviews when I'm unhappy, right? Or whenever I'm happy, probably I'm just going to click like 3 star, 4 star my experience, and I'm lazy to write the review.
Oh, absolutely. Because it's one more thing for you to do. You paid to the hotel, so they expected a payment, so you paid to the hotel. You expect it to be a good service, right? And then if the service is decent, you would also tip various people on the journey. So there's tipping component, there is the money component, and then after tipping and exiting, you're also asking the consumer itself again to write a review, which is again a lot of English, which it's okay, but it still requires you 4 or 5 minutes or 3 minutes to sit down, think of it, what do you want to write? Increasing work for the
Right.
customer to feed back into your
Yep.
business. So we're
That's
just
a
saying, let's
really
just do
innovative
it.
way of using the reviews. I mean, like using the Chat GPT for
Chat GPT.
generating reviews, right? Yeah, wonderful. So let's move a little bit towards your, how you build the company, right? Can you share experience on raising funds? How did you take this forward and tell the story to your investors, and how you are successful in that journey part?
So in terms of raising the fund, I think we were very blessed that we found one of an early adopters in India as a customer, and they were very supportive and kind of were our design partners in making the product, as well as I think we were revenue positive initially when we began the company, so that gave us more confidence that we could build this. So just like I think the funding experience is one of the toughest journeys. It's not the toughest, but one of the toughest journeys a founder goes through. Uh, and our experience was similar, but we met some really amazing, great mentors early on. And I think what worked well in our case is people could relate to the problem immediately. So when you work for B2B and when you work for B2B for a particular sector, right? Like when you talk about vertical SaaS, it takes time for people or even investors to understand the hypothesis, understand the problem, validate it through their analysts that is this actually a problem, how big is the problem. But the problem that we were trying to solve, I think because everybody has been a consumer of hotels, it was relatively easy for them to relate to the problem. There were questions that, hey, how will you monetize, or is it worth monetizing? Would you monetize it from the guest? Is it worthwhile to make it free platform, and then people just use it and then come on and then you earn a GMV out of it? So there were all of those questions. But having said that, everybody that we spoke to would get the problem in the first 5 minutes, and I think that worked very well in our favor when we were doing our fundraising journey. But it's still a tough journey. I mean, I think I think it'll be false to say that he was a very, very easygoing journey. And I think the first person who put faith in us were a couple of angels who were very, very supportive. And then our venture partner called First Check, who did the pre-seed investment in us. And at that stage, I think they're putting the faith in us as founders versus the product. They understood the problem, and then they're putting the faith in us. So I think one of the most important thing is we as founders have to know what problem we're solving and how are we going to be solving it, and have a solid business plan for that, which really helps the fundraising journey to be, I would say, I wouldn't say still stay easier, to be optimal.
So India is a place where a lot of startups are booming, right? So I hear like Shark Tank, and there's so many channels which are just going really big on this. So can you share some tips for the budding entrepreneurs and for people like you, like women in tech especially?
I think the only advice that I could share is have faith in what you're building. I know things just like you were giving me example of the bamboo tree growing, I think, some time ago. It takes a lot of hard work and under the root work before the tree starts showing the fruit. So have faith in what you're building. I know times seem dark. There are times from funding to hiring, everything seems messed up, your numbers seem messed up, things are not going as the way that you plan. Have faith and sleep peacefully every night. Wake up, rethink. Don't get into your comfort zone, even if you are, cash positive or revenue positive, and constantly keep thinking that, hey, what you're doing, does it make difference? Does it make difference to the problem that you're solving? Does it make difference to the world? Both.
That's a wonderful tip you shared. Like, often motivation is overrated and discipline is underrated, right? And you just exactly said the same, that you need to be disciplined in order to get there, right? Constant hard work, persistence.
A lot of perseverance, a lot of sleepless nights, but just figure out a way to center
Yeah.
yourself in, sleep peacefully, wake up, rethink for the first 15 minutes. The first thing that you should think is, of course, you should thank the God that you're still alive, but just rethink of the first 15 minutes. Hey, is this something that I still want to do, and how do I make a difference? And what are the 3 things I should be doing different in this if it's not working properly? So I think that's the only advice. As for women in entrepreneurship, I've been a big believer of a non-gender. I'm not a feminist. I've never been confirmatory or have a special advice for women, but I do understand, and having gone through the journey myself, there are things which are different for us. As a startup journey, even when you're doing startup journeys, you are on a low fund budgets when you're traveling. And as a woman, you cannot stay at any place that you'd like, or travel at any time that you'd like, or travel through any means that you'd like. I would say use it to your strength of things that you do different versus lamenting about it. So, and keep going.
Wonderful.
I think women naturally have a lot of perseverance and strength, so I do not need to give them any advice on that. It's just work on your strengths. That we can
Right.
work hard for 20 hours a day. So can
Right.
men. I'm not trying to gender bias it. And so is your work family. And I'm pretty sure every female founder and entrepreneur takes care of her work family just like she does of her own family. So
Right. That's wonderful tips you shared. Thank you so much for coming on this podcast show and sharing your valuable experience and your tips to the growing entrepreneurs. Thank you so
thank
much.
you for having me, Vinay. I think we should definitely do this 2 years from now, and I'll probably have much more learnings than I have today. But thank you so much.